Today's video is for class 7, plant and animal tissues, the chapter, but we will be today doing the last part of the plant tissue, which is the complex permanent tissue. Now why is this called or known as complex permanent tissue? Because this tissue, which is formed of cells, the cells are not of the same types. Okay, now there are different cells which together constitute the permanent tissue. These are also known as conducting or vascular tissue. Now, the two tissues or the two complex permanent tissues are the xylem and the phloem. Okay. For your convenience, you can remember that xylem is the drinking tube. That means it transports water and mineral salts, and phloem is the eating tube. That means it transports food. Okay. Now, the xylem is made up of four types of cells, four types of different cells. Okay. They are also known as components or elements. Now, what are the characteristics of xylem? They are thick-walled, tubular, tube-like. You can see these are tube-like cells, and they are placed end to end. That means the previous tube will be here and the next tube or the connecting tube will be on top of this. So they are placed end to end. These are the two ends. So they are placed end to end. Okay. Now the partitions between the cells dissolve. Here the partition. This is the partition. They dissolve to form long channels through which the water can pass. Okay. Now the four components, as I told you earlier, the four components or elements are tracheids. This is one single element of tracheid. Okay. One single cell. Okay. Now these tracheids are spindle shaped, or they are narrower or pointed at the two ends and broader in the middle. In this diagram, I have drawn the diagram transversely so that you can observe how they look like. Fine. So this is the lumen. This is through which the water passes. These are small pits. They have lateral pits also. Similar is the case in vessels. So the first cell or the component is tracheid. The second one is vessels. Then is xylem fibers, which are sclerenchymatous cells, which are made up of sclerenchymatous cells, and xylem parenchyma. We have already learnt about sclerenchyma and parenchyma. So these two are also present in the xylem. So the four components or elements of the xylem are tracheids, vessels, xylem fibers, and xylem parenchyma. Now you will see that tracheids, vessels, and xylem fibers, I have written them with brown color. That means they are dead cells. These are dead cells. Only xylem parenchyma is living in case of xylem. In case of xylem. Now we come to phloem. Now the phloem cells are also made up of four components or elements. Okay. Which are sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, and phloem fibers. Now these cells are formed of living tubular cells. These were formed of dead tubular cells, and phloem cells are formed of living tubular cells. There is upward and downward movement of food. Either if the plant is the height of the plant is too high, then the water will be transported up and even down. Okay. So there is upward and downward movement of food and at times even sideways. The side branches, if there is a need of food, then at times the food is also transported sideways, and therefore the direction of the food is always or mostly called as bidirectional. Okay. Now food manufactured in the leaves, the food is transported. Okay. The food is transported to various parts of the plant which is manufactured in the leaves. Now we come to the components or elements of phloem, which are sieve tubes. You can see these are the two sieve tube cells, and along with the sieve tube there is another cell which is known as companion cell. As the name suggests, this helps the sieve tubes in transportation of food, and therefore they are known as companion. Who is a companion? A friend is a companion. Okay, so the companion cell acts as a friend to the sieve tube cells. Now the third component is phloem parenchyma, and the fourth component is phloem fibers. Okay, now you can see these three components I have written with green. That means these three components are living components, and only phloem fibers are the dead components. Fine. So this is all about plant tissues, and here we end with the plant tissues. In the next video we will start the animal tissues.